How do you manage client expectations? Because obviously that's one of the harder parts about what you do.
Yeah, I think that only comes with experience. I
Mm,
think when I've been younger and when I've first been in the industry, if people come and ask for cheek filler, I've kind of just done it for them. Whereas with experience, you learn to say in a nice way, I don't think that would be suited for you. Why don't you try this or this and offer them alternatives? But I definitely think that comes with experience. I don't think that is something you learn when you just come into doing aesthetics. But I've kind of been lucky in that way that
mm,
we've been through them trends and we've been through them experimental stages, because now I've grown as a practitioner, I've got that experience of when
yeah.
people were doing that. Whereas people going into the industry now, I feel like if someone asks them for cheek filler and they're not suitable, they don't know yet how to advise them not to
Yeah.
do that or what's best for them.
Hello and welcome back to the Face It podcast, run by Faces Consent, an app by practitioners for practitioners. I'm your host Jess, and today we have a brand new face to the podcast. But of course, before we begin, I just wanted to mention that we've recently rolled out Faces Verified. This is our brand new verification scheme live on the app. If you want clients to know that you are insured, qualified, and a trusted service provider, you can grab yourself an extra £50 credit in your Faces shop wallet by submitting your documentation and getting yourself that verification badge. Don't forget also, you can rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. It helps us immensely. As you know, there's so much information, tips, industry advice available on this podcast now. We've currently hit over 110 episodes of this show now, so there's plenty of stuff on there. If you'd like the chance to come and chat to me about your experiences, share your stories and your expertise, then of course let me know. You can find us on Instagram at FaceItPod or message me personally at Jess_Messenger. That's Messenger, ENGER. It is though now time, of course, to introduce today's guest. So a warm welcome to Holly of Flawless Cosmetics. Welcome to the Face It podcast, Holly.
Hiya, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're going to jump straight in. I want to know all about you before Flawless Cosmetics. Tell us a bit about what you were doing and how you came into the world of aesthetics.
So when I left school, I was always more intrigued by like the creative side of things, and I was always obsessed with beauty things. But through school, I was kind of pushed more down the education route. So I ended up going to university and studying law, which was a big mistake. It didn't really
Interesting.
work out for me. So after that, I dropped out and I moved to London to do a makeup course. Through that, I studied beauty and hairdressing, and I always loved the creative side of things. But in the back of my mind, I was always really obsessed with aesthetics and plastic surgery. So I then, where about 11 years ago now, was getting my lips done, and I found a route which non-medics could go into the industry, and I basically jumped on it straight away, and that's how I ended up starting Flawless.
So you had a bit of a passion initially then for, treatments and
Yeah,
injectables and stuff like that anyway, by sort of being a client yourself first.
yeah, it was always something I was very interested in and had a lot of passion for myself. And through doing the other beauty things, it was always something that I was more keen on than the other side of it that I was doing at the time. But I just didn't know there was a pathway for me to get into that.
Yeah, I mean, 11 years ago, it's completely unknown in terms of pathways, wasn't it? Like there wasn't many people at
Yeah,
all that knew how to go about doing it.
so I was one of the first non-medics to be trained, and I was actually trained by one of the first non-medics that found a pathway into it. So I do think when I started, I probably was one of the first non-medics that was in the industry.
Wow, incredible. And that's quite brave as well, because there's no real blueprint to go off. I think it's easier now coming in some way, harder in other ways, but easier in some ways, in that there's a lot of blueprint. You know
Yeah.
exactly how it works. People have done it before you. I think that's quite says a lot about your character, actually. I
But
think just
I
being
think
willing
in
to
a
just.
way, yeah, I think in a way I was quite naive to everything that
Mm,
it did involve, because there wasn't so much education as there is now. You couldn't just go on Instagram and see someone inject a pair of lips and think, oh, I'd like to do that.
yeah.
It just wasn't out there. So I think in terms of knowing actually the in-depth of the industry, I probably went into it very naively, like thinking, oh wow, this is great, it's just going to be easy. As I've gone along the time, obviously I've learned a lot more things, and I think even back then, safety and complications, it wasn't a big thing because it was so unheard of aesthetics. It wasn't many people getting it done. If they were
Mm,
getting it done, they were getting it done by doctors. It just wasn't spoke about how it is now. So I think I went in quite naively at the time, so it didn't seem such a big jump. I think now a lot of the people going into it, they're so worried about complications because it is a known thing. Whereas when I started, it
mm.
wasn't even a thing really. It was just like, do the lips, there you go, that's it, they're done.
Yeah, no one really spoke about it. And like you say, Instagram, it wasn't even really a thing 11 years ago. I mean, I think it was around, but it was very, very early stages. It was nothing like what it is now.
No, when I first started, I made a Facebook page and a Twitter. I
Mm,
didn't even make an Instagram page probably until 18 months down the line, because it wasn't a way that you used to even advertise it. It was either a Facebook page or Twitter, and that was it.
mm. Oh, incredible. So what is it like having 13 locations? How do you guys manage that sort of chaos?
So the staff that work for me are amazing. I've got an amazing group of nurses, and they're all very laid back, very easygoing. They're used to travelling around. Sorry, there's a little bit of noise there.
Are you all right?
Um, I'm used to the travelling now, so we don't do every location every single day. So we just use salons that we like working with, and we go to those salons and we work on a daily basis from there. So my nurses that work for me, they all still work for the NHS. So they all work part time for the NHS, and then they work part time for me. So it actually runs very smoothly because we have a really good team. We've got a good setup now, and yeah, we all work together really well.
I think there's a lot of benefit to that, isn't there? That having people that have still got that one foot in the NHS as well. It keeps them
Definitely.
all skilled up. It keeps them up to date.
Yeah.
I think that's a real string to your bow, actually, having that side
Yeah.
of it.
And also just the way they deal with the patients as well. Like they're used to dealing with people in sensitive environments.
Mm,
So they're all very sensitive to the clients. They all know very well how to make clients feel comfortable because they're used to doing it in the NHS roles.
mm. Yeah, I mean, I come from a dentistry background, so I spent 7 years as a dental nurse and a radiographer, and I think it definitely helps me in my treatments. I don't do aesthetics; I do permanent makeup, but it's definitely given me just that experience. It's a transferable skill, isn't it? Massively.
Yeah, definitely.
So, talking about you then, Holly,
Yeah.
what is one of your favourite treatments, and what is it about aesthetics medicine that you love so much?
So over the years, my favourite treatments have changed a lot as the trends have changed and things. What I really love most now is doing kind of a full face tweakment, the sort that people they look at themselves after and you can see they look better, they look more fresher, more
Mm,
healthy, and when other people see them, they don't particularly know they've had work done, but they just look better. So that is probably my favourite thing to do. Like just spread the filler around the face rather than just one area, and really personalise treatments to that person so that they walk out feeling amazing, but not feeling like they've been and had a ton of filler done.
Yeah, it's that refreshed, rejuvenated look, isn't it? Like it's really in
Yeah,
at the moment as well, and I'm kind of glad about it in a way. I think it's took a turn for the better. I think. Would you agree?
definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think through the years that I've been doing it, we're kind of the first people that have been involved in the big boom of fillers. So we've made all the mistakes. We've had the big cheek filler, the huge lips, the pointy chins, because we've kind of been experimenting with them. We are like the experiment. So I feel like now it's calming down a little bit, and those extreme looks are hopefully kind of disappearing a little bit, and people are starting to use fillers to just look and feel better rather than completely change the whole appearance and the shape of their face.
Yeah, to sort of just feel the best version of themselves, I suppose.
Exactly,
I think
yeah.
that's when you get the best results as well,
Oh,
for sure.
100%, yeah. If
Yeah.
someone comes to me and they show me a picture of someone else, it's great. You can get a kind of idea, but we shouldn't be making people look like someone they've seen on Instagram. Really, we want to be making them look the best version of themselves, because that person that they've just shown a picture of from Instagram, they've got a completely natural, different face shape. And if that person's got a huge, really lovely natural jaw, you're not going to get the same result if you put 5 mil of filler in the jaw. It won't look like theirs. It will look like you with 5 mil of filler in your jaw. So I really try and persuade people not to look at pictures and try and aim to look like someone else, and to just try and make the best versions of themselves.
How do you manage client expectations? Because obviously that's one of the harder parts about what you do.
Yeah, I think that only comes with experience. I
Mm.
think when I've been younger and when I've first been in the industry, if people come and ask for cheek filler, I've kind of just done it for them. Whereas with experience, you learn to say in a nice way, I don't think that would be suited for you. Why don't you try this or this? And offer them alternatives. But I definitely think that comes with experience. I don't think that is something you learn when you just come into doing aesthetics. But I've kind of been lucky in that way that
Mm.
we've been through them trends and we've been through them experimental stages, because now I've grown as a practitioner. I've got that experience of when
Yeah.
people were doing that. Whereas people going into the industry now, I feel like if someone asks them for cheek filler and they're not suitable, they don't know yet how to advise them not
Yeah.
to do that or what's best for them.
Yeah, I mean it's all a string to your bow, isn't it? Having gone through the whole process, and like
Yeah,
it's knowing the extremes on both ends. I think
yeah,
sometimes, that gives you a massive toolbox to pull from as a practitioner, doesn't it? Like
yeah,
knowing both extremes.
yeah, and learning how to say no to people, because sometimes if you've got a quiet day and someone's booked in and they want the lips doing and they come and they're not suitable, and sometimes you maybe a whole day depended on doing that pair of lips. It's really
Mm,
difficult as a practitioner when you're counting on that money to say no, I don't think it's
mm.
suited for you. But it's just something that as you learn, you do have to do that, and you do have to turn away clients.
Yeah, and like you say, I think that comes through experience, and knowing that, every time that you say yes when you probably shouldn't have, it's only going to come back on you tenfold at some point anyway. You're only
Exactly,
going to be
yeah,
picking up the mess at some point anyway. So it's like there's no point in going down that road. You might as well save yourself and
exactly,
your client the hassle ahead of
yeah,
time.
yeah,
So we'll move on to you as a trainer a little bit, Holly.
yeah.
Why did you want to become a trainer, and at what point did you make that decision?
So it was actually an opportunity that came to me. I didn't actually set out to do it. I've got two young children, and where they've just gone to school the previous September, an opportunity came to me where I had the opportunity to do training, and I haven't had the time to do anything more than my clinics whilst I had the children. So when they've gone to school, it kind of came at the perfect
Mm,
timing that I could take on more work. So obviously, I thought when they go to school, I'm going to have all this time on my hands, but I've literally worked more than I've ever worked now. So
yeah.
yeah, it just came at a really nice timing for me there. And in the past, I have been offered opportunities to go into training, but I just didn't feel like it was for me. And if people want to do it after they've been in the industry for a couple of years, that's up to them. But I really do feel like you need a lot of experience, because these students ask so many questions and you want to be able to answer them with good knowledge and honestly. And if you've been in the industry a couple of years and you start training, I just don't feel that people are ready for it. So yeah, it was just good timing and a good opportunity for me.
Yeah, I think it takes a good 2.5 years. I always say a good 2.5 years, maybe even 3, depending on the job, before you really know the job. And that applies to
Yeah,
anything, any
yeah,
job. And at that point, that's where you start to get comfortable and feel like you know what you're doing. And then you have a couple of years on top of that where you almost start to master a skill or master a
yeah,
job. So I think it is all in about at least 5 years, really, before you've sort
yeah,
of got to that point where you feel very comfortable in your knowledge base. And like
yeah,
I say, that's for any job. In my experience, it's always took me 2.5, 3 years before I feel like I actually
yeah.
understand what I'm doing.
And aesthetics, there's so many products now, so many
Mm.
treatments. When I first started, there was like lips and cheeks and Botox. That was it. So now you have to really be a master of it all, because you
Mm.
have to know about every product, what it all does, how you can, different ways to use it and things. There is a lot to take in. So if you're going to be training people, you need all that knowledge and you need to know it well before you can pass it on.
Mm. Do you think there's some benefit to mastering one particular type of treatment and spending a lot of your time and energy giving that treatment to clients?
Yeah, I definitely think that having a niche in this
Mm.
industry does set you apart from others. I know there's like a lot of people who do the Russian lips, that's their niche, and they'll just do them all day, every day. I have found over the years that I've gone into kind of a niche of like natural fillers, and
Mm.
that's kind of my thing now. And I do think if you can get a niche in something, you will get more clients because they will come specifically for that,
Yeah.
rather than just doing a little bit of everything. You will get clients and you'll get repeat clients because they'll trust you. But having a niche definitely attracts first time clients to you.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like you say, it doesn't necessarily have to be a treatment. It could be just like a treatment style
Yeah,
overall. That really helps to build that client base because Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that's made it so much easier now to research your practitioner and like
yeah,
really understand what they offer before you even think about booking in. You guys didn't have
yeah,
that 10, 11 years ago.
yeah. I also feel like if you are doing like a bit of a mix of things, so for example, someone who loves Russian lips probably wouldn't come to me. And if I posted a
Mm.
picture of really massive lips on my Instagram, I would get all my clients that come to me and choose me because they like more of a natural look.
Yeah.
They'd take one look at that and say, "Oh, I'm not going to her because I don't like that one
Mm.
pair of lips that she's put up." So I think sticking to a style definitely benefits, because you will get people looking for a certain style. And if you're posting a little bit of everything, the
Mm.
people that are specifically looking for one thing, it will put them off. Just even though they know you can do a natural lip perfectly,
Mm.
they'll see one picture that they don't like and then they'll just look for someone else. So I do think getting a niche is definitely helpful to gain clients.
Yeah, I think as well being a little bit careful about posting those contents because at the end of the day it doesn't mean you can't do them. If you've got the skill and you've got a client that's come in and they're a perfect candidate for a Russian lip, for example,
Yeah,
there's no harm in doing the Russian lip and providing that client their service. But like you say, don't post it because
exactly.
it's an opposition to the message and the niche that you've tried to build for yourself and your socials. It reminds me of
Yeah,
tattoo artists. It's a very similar thing with tattooists.
yeah,
A lot of them can do a lot of different styles, but you will find that they'll just keep sort of posting the same style.
yeah,
It's not that they won't do a walk-in that comes in and wants something traditional or completely different.
yeah,
But yeah, they would be a little bit more careful about, putting that message out there.
yeah.
So how do you feel about the industry at the moment, Holly? Is there an opinion you'd like to share?
I feel like it is going in the right direction. Seeing it through the last 11 years, there's been some dodgy eras.
Yeah.
And I do feel like it is starting to go down the right path. We're going down a lot more awareness for complications. There's a lot more tools out there to help you with complications, a lot more education. I actually think it's really amazing, like everyone who posts all the educational videos on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok. It's so helpful for practitioners coming into the industry, because I didn't have all that. So I had to learn through my own mistakes or as I went along. So I do think it is going down the right route now, and that hopefully people are going to be more educated, more knowledgeable, and the crazy trends are disappearing really slowly, but they're going now.
Yeah, I think we're at a bit of a fork in the road, aren't we? We're definitely
Yeah,
at that sort of turning point. We've already started heading down that new path now with the education and obviously with the regulations that are being proposed,
yeah,
and everything else. And it can only be a good thing overall, I
yeah,
think. And yes,
yeah.
it might mean there's a bit of upheaval for a short time. People have got to work out what they want to do, how they're going to commit to their own education. There may be a few changes ahead, but I think ultimately they're all only serving the right purpose.
Yeah, and hopefully it will put off people from doing it who are literally just after quick money. Because
Mm,
I do see some students come through and they just think it's going to be really easy money, and it is not easy money. You have to graft, and you have to become kind of obsessed with it in your spare time. You have to keep learning, keep educating.
mm,
If you're just going to come to the course, leave, and think you're a master of everything, it's not going to
mm.
work. If you just think you're going to make quick money, you need to be dedicated to it, and really passionate about education, because it's always changing. There's always new treatments or always new education coming out. So I really think you do have to have a passion for it. It's not easy money. It's not going to
Yeah.
make you a millionaire. It's something you have to have a passion for.
Yeah, it's like any career choice, isn't it? I think you need to choose it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who've been around a long time, like yourself, and been doing it for, 10 plus years, will probably say that the golden era of making quick money is probably over.
Oh
We're
yeah.
not in that era anymore. We're in a
No.
completely
Yeah.
different
100%.
place.
Yeah.
Especially with margins and stuff being squashed, the costs element of things has completely changed. So if people are, if educators or academies or whatever are still promising that quick buck and still promising that, make your first, I don't know, couple of $100,000 in the first few months thing, it's not realistic. And I think anyone
No.
will tell you that those days are long gone at this
Oh yeah,
point.
yeah. I mean, even the price thing, we've always stuck to our prices. We've been the same pretty much since we started. But
Mm,
people coming in with these low prices now, undercutting people. When I first started, there was hardly any competition. So
mm,
I was making so much money because every client had to come to me or a few others.
mm,
So we had the monopoly of charging kind of what we wanted. I feel like now I've stuck to my prices. I have a really nice clientele. They they know that we're good, and they're not just coming to us for one treatment and then going to this person, this person, and this person. We've got a
mm.
nice regular clientele, but we've not got the same kind of influx of new clients what we used to have back in the day, when you just had the monopoly of who was going to come to you. So like you say, the day of making quick money, it's not the same anymore. You have to work for it, and you have to build up your client base and get clients that trust you, that keep coming back.
What do you recommend to your students for building their client base? Because I would imagine that's probably one of the number one questions that you get when they're just about to leave your training
Yeah,
academy.
practice, practice, practice. Get your mum, your sister, your friends, get every single person who you know to let you practice on them. Get the pictures, build up your Instagram and your portfolio, and then maybe work with a salon who can recommend people to you. Maybe if you know people that work at a salon, and kind of link up with people that you can share clients with is a really good way to do it. Say you've got a friend who does eyebrows, get them to recommend their clients to you, and you'll recommend your clients back. I think that's the only way to build it up now.
Word of mouth. And like you
Yeah,
say, not relying on social media. Because I mean, you didn't mention social media once there really. And that just shows you how big going back to basics is,
Yeah,
taking it back 10 years and flyering and handing out your cards at other people's,
yeah,
premises, and linking up with local businesses and
yeah.
doing word of mouth with your family and friends. Like, that's it still very much holds a lot of value today, doing
Yeah,
those
social
things.
media is very overwhelming now. You can literally go on it and see 30 different lit pages.
Mm,
How do you choose? And half the pictures are edited.
mm,
So how do you even choose or trust someone? I really think it needs to be word of mouth. If you do your best friend and then they have three other
mm,
friends at work, for example, who will say like, "Oh, my friend did it, why don't you go to my friend?" I think that is probably the best way to build up your clientele now, because as I say, social media is very overwhelming for people
mm.
choosing a practitioner now.
Yeah, I think that's a great bit of advice. Take it back to basics.
Yeah.
So, the Flawless brand is really, really strong. You got a great brand there with a lot of celebrity endorsement as well. How did the celebs find you, and do you think that that has helped cement the brand's popularity over the years?
Yeah, so that has changed so much as well. So when I first started, obviously no one really did get the lips done and things. So
Mm,
I don't even know who was my first celebrity, but it kind of became a word of mouth thing. So I was the first Love Island. I did some of the girls off there through a friend of a friend who, that's how I got in contact with them. And
mm,
then I used to work in Essex in Amy Charles' salon and Chloe Sims' salon.
mm.
And it was when Towie was like booming. It was
Huge.
reality TV. It was Towie, Love Island. It was when they were really, really big. So I
Mm,
was doing everyone from Towie because they were coming in liking my work and then trusting me. So, and then it was like Love Island, and that all links through that. And then it just became a recommendation thing, and I was doing so many. And back then, you could say to them, "Oh, will you do me a little post after?" And they
yeah,
were quite happy to do that. Where it's all changed now.
yeah.
Celebs and people don't really want to say what work they've had done, or if they will say, the management don't really want them to say, because no one
Mm,
wants to be influencing young girls, and
yeah.
it's really changed in that way. So when we used to do people's lips, we'd get probably like 10 tags the next day of all people taking selfies, like, "Had my lips done." And it's
Mm,
just not really a thing anymore. But at the time, it definitely really helped the brand, because our clientele was a bit younger then as well. It's kind of grew with us. So they
mm.
would see these people getting it done from us, and then they'd come to us. So it definitely did help in the early days. But we still do a lot of celebrities and reality stars now, but they tend to not post. They just pay for their treatments.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you say that the landscape of social media changes so quickly, and what you did, I mean, what I did in my previous business just 3 years ago just would not work today. You just don't get the level of engagement I got back then. So you're constantly having to change up your methods really, and just sort of move with the times. So yeah, I get a lot of people asking me that question, how do I do things like that online? And it's just different. It's just different than it was.
Had our old account had 130,000 followers in
Wow.
2019. So that was like almost unheard of for an aesthetics brand to have that many followers.
Mm,
And we actually lost that account.
mm,
And building the new account is completely different. So I
yeah,
used to post twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening, just a little grid post, picture of lips, and the followers just grew and grew and grew. And
mm,
maybe post a celebrity every now and again. And then now you've got, it's almost like a full-time second job. You've got
yeah,
to update your stories, you've got to make reels, you've got to talk to the camera, you've got to show your face. I used to make a thing that I didn't really show myself on the Instagram, because I wanted it to be about Flawless, not about me.
mm.
But now you
When
have
that
to show
method doesn't
yourself.
work. Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah,
have to. So things have changed so much in social media. And as I say, people used to post for you. And I remember like a celebrity posting for me, and my followers went up like 5,000 overnight.
yeah,
And then now, if someone did post for you, you might get about 20 followers. It
yeah.
just doesn't work how it used to. I don't think people have the trust in influencers anymore
No,
either.
they don't.
So they used to trust everything they say. Now I think people are a bit wary of influencers because they know they're getting paid or they're getting something for free.
Yeah, the people have definitely wised up. They're a lot smarter.
Yeah.
That's definitely had an impact. I would agree.
Yeah.
So was there a defining moment in your career? And if there was, can you tell us about it?
Do you know what? I was thinking about this and I can't pinpoint something there was. The only thing I would say is when lockdown happened and we couldn't work,
Mhm.
it was the first time in probably the 6 years I'd been doing it before then that I could kind of just stop and appreciate everything that had happened. The first few years were just such a whirlwind, and I was just constantly working. And when that lockdown happened and I couldn't work, I was like, wow, like
Mm.
we've built
Look what
up
I've built.
all this, look what I've got from doing this. And I think that was the first time that I did stop and think, like, wow, this has actually become really successful.
Mm.
Whereas when you're just working and you're in the moment and you're tired because you're working all the time, you don't necessarily like step back and think, wow, we've done really well here. So yeah, when I got that downtime, it was the first time I'd ever had any downtime, and I feel like that was when I really realised how well we'd done.
It's so important to do it, isn't it? It's so important to just have a moment to reflect. And like you say, you were forced into reflection, really.
Yeah,
But I do always say to people, try and have a space within your week or your month to just reflect on where you've come from, even if it's
yeah,
only a small
yeah,
small step forward. It's still a step forward in your business. I
yeah.
think it's really important to do it because years can go by and you've just carried on going. You're on to the next thing, the next
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. Yeah. You don't realize when you're working so hard because you're thinking about things like you're so tired, you're so exhausted, like you've got to be here and you're just thinking about, I've got to organize this, I've got to do this. Your brain just doesn't switch off. And that was the first time that it ever kind of relaxed and just like sat at home. Even like when I had my kids, I was back at work after 2 weeks. I felt too guilty to take time off. Like I was scared if I didn't go back, my clients would find someone else.
Mm.
So yeah, that was a nice time to kind of sit back and reflect.
Yeah, it's mad what we do to ourselves, really, isn't it?
I know, yeah.
What is it like to train with Flawless Academy?
So I've been on some awful courses in the past. So I try and take the bad points from from those
Mm.
training courses, and make sure that we don't do them. So lots of models, lots of practical, hands-on, really good thorough manuals and theory education, just making sure it's really in depth. I've got a group chat which all my students are on, and they're all really helpful. So whenever a new student comes through, we'll put them onto that, and that's like a really nice community for them to ask questions, ask how each other are getting on. They even send pictures in, like say, oh, how would you treat this client? And I always keep a watch on that group as well, so that if anyone asks something that anyone can't answer, I do tend to answer it and try and get involved on that. And just try and learn from the bad courses that I've been on, and
Mm.
just try and make sure that I'm making it really thorough for everyone.
I think that's the best way to do it, isn't it? Just take that experience of being on other courses and think, well,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna do that's something I'm
yeah.
not gonna do.
Exactly, yeah.
Is there a course or a technique that you love to teach the most?
The same as really the treatment I love doing. Like when we do models for our advanced courses, I always try and get the model to have like a fair bit of filler so we can really learn from like what each area does. So
Mm.
I really love just teaching the facial fillers and the more advanced stuff. It's also easier to teach the advanced students because obviously they have needle experience, so you find your day runs a little bit smoother, and a little bit easier when you're teaching those advanced ones. But I do enjoy teaching all the courses. When people leave and they like feel so accomplished from themselves and they're like really eager to get going in the new career, really excited, they feel proud of themselves. It's like a nice feeling at the end of the day
Yeah,
when
I love
people are like,
it.
wow, I've had such a good day, I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's nice. I think you've got to really love training. You've got to really love passing on knowledge and get something out of that. But I think if you're one of those people, it's really, really rewarding for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, definitely.
So tell us then, Holly, what's next for you? What's next for Flawless? Have you got any plans in the pipeline?
So we are opening up a new salon and academy in the Wirral. I have never had my own complete base before. I've always worked with other people, gone within their salons, or just rented a room at a salon. So I'm really, really excited about that. So we've not actually done the Wirral for a while, but that's where I live. We've kind of concentrated on Liverpool, Chester, more the big cities. So I'm really excited to have a place near my house that I'm not traveling like 2-3 hours to get to every day, and somewhere that's just completely my own. So I'm really, really excited for that, and even just to decorate it myself exactly how I want it and bring the academy to there. I'm really excited for that.
That's really exciting, especially, you've spent a long time getting here as well, and I think you're
Yeah,
gonna love it, like just decking it out how you want it to
yeah.
look. And yeah, that's really, really exciting, bless you. So we are coming to the end then, really, Holly. Thank you so much for your time today. You've been amazing, and it's great to hear
Oh, thank
about your journey with Flawless. But if you can just let our listeners know where they can find you, where they can find the Flawless Academy, online, whether that's your website, your social media.
So on our Instagram, we are at Flawless Cosmetic, just cosmetic, no S, no dots, no hashtags or anything. And on there, you can find a link to our website, which is www.flawlesscosmetic.co.uk. We have a booking system on there, which you can really easily book yourself in. And our academy is Flawless Aesthetics Academy, which you can find links on that through Flawless Cosmetic and through our website.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Holly.
Oh,
You've been an absolute pleasure. It's great to hear about your experience and obviously your goals for the future as
yeah.
well. We'll probably touch base with you again, maybe in a year's time, see how you're getting on with the setup.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
amazing.
and we'll introduce our listeners to your academy as well, and we may even do a visit with you and come and see it in person. That'd be brilliant.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
All right, thank you so much, Holly. Take
Oh,
care.
thank you. Thanks for having me. Bye.